Welcome to Big Fan Podcast. If we're meeting for the first time, my name is Kevin, the creator. And today we have guests and host Mariel the Hammer. We got John, and we got guest Ethan Westerfield. Okay. And basically we're talking about, running. Ethan Westerfield is a runner in Chicago, up and comer. I just did an ultra run myself, so I'm pretty much into fitness now. And I just signed up for I just did an ultra run that was 31 miles. I just signed up for a ultra that is 100 coming up on August 19th. And it's like a charity. Like the purpose of it is it's going to provide a pair of shoes for every kid in this elementary, every elementary student in Lackey school district. There'll be a link if you want to donate money to OneSolePurpose.com. It'll be in the description. Yeah. Okay.
Let's pay some bills right now while we on here. Sneakers by the candy of the millennium.
I do like Snickers.
How long have you been running, Ethan? How long you've been running?
Since I was in high school. I was 13, 14. Yeah, that's when I started. And fell off every now and then, just depending on where I was living. When I moved out to like the far, like southern suburbs, it was a little bit more difficult to find like a consistent trail and everything. So I kind of dipped off. But at that stage, I'd really started picking it up. And now it's been pretty consistent for a while now, for a few years.
Okay. Now, how long are your runs? What kind of runs?
So normally, unless I'm training for something that's a little bit more expansive, typically I will run at least every day somewhere roughly between 3 to 4 miles, which at least just gets me kind of moving around and being active. But beyond that, that tends to be the cap off. But if I'm training for something that's a bit more intensive and more challenging, then typically those will kind of match whatever the parameters for the race are going to be.
Okay.
And would you say you're running for speed?
I do like a mix. I'll do like a balance. And typically if I'm running, I'll do maybe one day where I'm going, let's just see how far we can go within about an hour's worth of time or something like that. Or let's see if we can just go nonstop, right? Or some days I'll pick it up and I'll maybe decide I want to run about 30 minutes, but I want to get my average pace down to closer to, lower 7s, lower 6s, just to try to maintain it. But it kind of flips every other day, kind of. That's sort of my balance band, which I think helps keeping not only my endurance up, but my speed up overall. Inevitably, in order to race competitively, you kind of need both of those two things to be at least moderately high. So yeah.
And what's the motivation for you? What's a good motivation to get you going?
Me personally, or just in general, as like
you personally, sir? Talking to you, sir.
With me, I don't know. It's always been kind of therapeutic, just to be able to just put like silence, just be off from all the noise outside and just put something on, just listen and just run and be in an element where I know I control sort of every aspect. That helps me just get focused and I can think about whatever's going on. When I'm running, usually I'm thinking about a script or notes for a script, or I'm thinking about, oh man, I have an idea. I should probably write this down so I can fix that scene later on when I get home. And those two things being my biggest passions kind of coincide and help each other. They kind of exist together. So that's always what running's been for me, at least.
Right. Guy's a writer.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. You're a writer, huh? Okay. Do you mind what genre? What do you write?
The genre is a bit hard because I try to do a little bit of everything, but I think my stories are more, they tend to skew more towards like revenge and sort of retribution sometimes, I think. Just because the characters and the things I write. But generally I like to keep it open. I try to challenge myself with every genre, whether that's if I'm doing a suspense thriller or if I'm doing something more action oriented or something that's more sci-fi fantasy. I think I don't want to just be in one tiny position the entire time. I'd like to kind of expand and, you know, create as much as I can with the confines.
Yeah. Okay. I can see how running can give your mind an opportunity to expand your ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, and just kind of lock in on them because sure, I'm focused on the next step everywhere I'm going. I'm looking at the road, or if I'm on the treadmill, I'm looking at, you know, whatever's projected ahead of me. But I think ultimately all that kind of stuff becomes background. It becomes scenery, white noise, wallpaper, when my mind is kind of going at the same pace. And it's like, oh, cool. I don't have to worry about my phone going off. I can just keep going. I don't have to worry about all the nonsense on the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good times.
Yeah, for sure.
The last
Well,
place
you
you
know,
were just
no,
oh,
please,
go ahead. No, go.
No, I was gonna say, you know, you said you were writing like revenge. I had this song in my head as soon as you said that. What's it? Talking Heads, Psycho Killer. You know, always run. That's playing in my head for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah, you run. You know, horror. Yeah. I'm sorry, Kevin. Go ahead, man.
That's funny. It's like
Talking Heads really
them.
great though. Yeah.
Chasing them down. Run,
right,
motherfucker.
exactly.
The predator.
Right, you know, run them down. You know, active pursuit. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, active pursuit. You're aware of this hunting style, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Active pursuit. Just ride someone into the ground, right? And you're a runner. Yeah, it's got horror written all over it.
Sometimes I can catch myself in the groove of like thinking I'm the active character I'm working on, so that can become kind of funny if I overextend.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
So what about soreness? Have you been having any of those side effects?
No. I think the only time that I can remember in like my modern age, like post college, that I was really that I ever felt sore was the first time I went to the gym when I was 18. I'd never been. I'd always wanted to go, and I remember I went in for like an hour, and I remember working my legs, of course, naturally. And when I got off the machine, I looked at the musculature, and I was like, oh my God. I'm like, it only took me like 20 minutes to get that big. But in order for me to get that big, normally it'd take me like a whole week's worth of running, you know? Yeah. And I remember that the following days I was taking a bath, and it was just, the water was so warm in my body. I felt like I couldn't even move my body. Like I couldn't bend my arms, my legs, like nothing. But now I think because I've been doing it for so long, I've been pretty consistent with going to the gym and just trying to be active every day. Sometimes a little hard because of scheduling, the work interference, or if I have plans or whatever. But for the most part, no soreness that lasts longer than maybe 15, 20 minutes. Like we'll probably get to it, but my last race that I did, I finished, and when I stopped moving, I felt like, oh my God, if I don't get water, I'm going to pass out right now, you know? But as soon as I got it, and I was like walking out of the, off of the field and out of the arena, or out of the stadium rather, immediately I was like, oh, well, I can still move a little bit. Like I'm still a little bit more, like I'm a little limber. I can still keep going a little bit further. But nothing that ever lasts. Like as far as soreness, I think it just, over time, it stops becoming as grueling as it was when we first started. So,
hey, that arena, which one was that?
The last one I did, it started and ended on Soldier Field at like
that's what I thought.
mark.
Yeah. That had to have been an amazing feeling, right?
That was, I mean, I initially starting and sort of running through sort of like the player tunnel, you know, where they're packing in all the vehicles and all that kind of stuff. That was crazy. And I said on my way back, if we're going the same route, I'm like, I have to have my phone out to record what that looks like going out of, you know, because it was like it was surreal almost to really put it into one word, you know.
That's like this is what we do, like that feeling when y'all hyped up and shit. Yeah.
Super triumphant feeling for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. So man, like 8 years ago, I made this YouTube video, and I took it down though. I still have it. I was like, I'm gonna put this shit back out there. But I was running the plan was 13 miles and shit. And I was like, it was winter time. I was gonna go run in the park. And I'm like, I'm gonna make this video. And I didn't bring no water with me. And I don't know what the fuck I was thinking and shit. And so I'm running and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, you know, it's kind of easy, you know, just like riding a bike and shit, you know. But by I guess mile 8, I started to feel it, like the dehydration. And then like mile 9, I put the camera on me and I was like, I'm kind of thirsty, like, you know. And so I made it to 11.4 miles. And then the next scene was like me in my bed and shit, like explaining what happened. And like visually, I remember everything. What happened is I got dehydrated, sickness though, where I went in, drunk like a couple glasses of water, and then I had like diarrhea. I was throwing up and shit, cramping, you know, like, and I was like, wow, you know, and like I laughed at the video because I just watched it before I did this, and I was like, man, I hope I don't, like, with this 100 miles, I was like, I hope I'm not like so naive, you know, like how I was then, you know, and be like, oh my God, you know.
100 miles, man. Wow. How long you have to do it?
I have 30 hours before it's the cutoff. You know, I got to
30
complete it in 30
Wow.
hours.
Wow.
Well, I think this is the best time to tell y'all guys that, you know, I will be running this
Oh
summer
yeah. Okay.
for cancer. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Breast cancer. No, don't clap. I'm just joking.
Oh,
I had you, John. I had you there.
yeah, you did, man. I was gonna congratulate you too, man. That was noble.
That's a
No, I
goddamn
might-
devil.
I
The
might
devil
go. I
right
might-
there. You over there lying up. He playing with cancer right now. Ooh.
No, you know what? I am thinking about it since all y'all running. It kind of making me want to run too.
No shit, you're tiny.
I got a lot of. No, it don't mean nothing about your weight.
No, it does. Like,
No, it don't. I'm telling
it
you.
does.
I
You're
may
running.
pass out. No, I have. Look, it's been times. I know when I used to be like a heavy smoker and stuff. It's been times where when I used to like do not even running, just wrestle with somebody a little bit, and it would feel like somebody stuck a knife down my throat into my windpipe. And, you know, and so that is the worst feeling because you feel like you're about to die at that point.
But is that from you being like tiny? You know, tiny guy?
That's what I said. No, it ain't about tinyness. I think that had something to do with my wind that I had, how much wind you know what I'm saying? Because I think I was smoking that much.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That or your weak sauce.
Well, we know you gonna look at you gonna try to get real negative.
Nah, I'm just playing, dude. Don't go get your tissues.
Don't get my panties in a bunch. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know. Like, calm down. He's gonna just leave. I'm out of here. Well, goddamn, do the podcast without me.
I think you should do it though. It's fun, man. Even if you're, you know, if it's something small, you know, if it's there are races that go for like a mile, you know, like you know, it's not.
No, I gotta start off. I gotta start off with the you know the minimum because yeah. Now when I get it, you know, I know the training, a lot of training, you can train your body to, you know, prepare for something like that. So I think I want to try to take that route as much as possible before I do it because I don't want to be sitting up there on the side of the road somewhere coughing up my spleen. You know what I mean? I want I want to be prepared now for it. Give it a shot, a real good shot.
Sure.
So Ethan, you just finished a 10K in the Soldier Fields one, and how long did that take you?
That took me 52 minutes and 37 seconds. I think that was the final number.
That's fast.
My target score for that one was at least under 55 because I had done a 5K at the end of April. So that took me, I think it was like 23 minutes and like some change. And I was like, okay, well, that's fine. That's better than all the practice times I got up to that point. And with the 10K, I was really nervous about my time, my placement, because I was just eating shit. Like I just didn't care. I was like, I was hardly doing what I should have been doing to really prep for real. And I also had gotten like a new pair of running shoes. So that was tricky because your foot has to get accommodated to a whole new fit now. So that was tricky to navigate.
What shoes? I'm
They're
curious.
like these Nike Air ones. I used to always just work out in these Adidas Ultra Boost. That's what I always wore at the gym. But these Nike ones are a bit more. I shouldn't say this because I most everything on my shoe rack is Adidas, but the Nike ones clearly feel like they're designed for all-terrain running, which is really good. They're form-fitting. They're like a mesh kind of build to them, and they're super sleek. But
Ethan's gonna mess up his Adidas contract. He's like, ah.
No, I'm gonna ask you something, Ethan. This off topic like a mug. Do you shave, sir? You don't shave your face?
Sometimes you get like little stubble down here that I have
so you don't grow a beard yet. You can't grow a beard.
No, I just have the little, fuzz on the side.
Because I was just looking at that. I'm like, his face don't look like he have any hair coming out of that. Just it's like you might have a bit of a mustache.
I think that's the Native American. That's the Native American and stuff. Because I don't really get facial hair. I gotta grow my shit. If I cut my beard off, that shit
you don't like
growing.
you don't like you ain't getting this right here on the side there, Kevin, either.
Look like you got too much. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I'm full-fledged with the beard now. I can get Santa Claus on you. Hey, look, I get a biblical beard on you.
No, but back to those shoes though. I just watched a movie. Called Air. Is a Nike movie, and I illegally watched it. Yes, I streamed. And
no.
And I think it's Matt Damon in it. But basically it's based around how Nike started. And basically they were like a $3 million company, like yearly. And it was basically runners, runners would wear the shoes and stuff. And they were trying to get like more, like use their media and stuff and try to get like a basketball player, but their budget was so low that they couldn't afford anything. Anyways, they try to get like their whole thing is based around getting Jordan and building a shoe company around one person, and their shit went from like $3 million a year to 186 million every year, billions of dollars and shit, That's a great fucking movie if you guys want to check it out. I was a bit inspired and shit because it's Jordan, I'm a big fan of him. He's the man,
Yeah, that was easily so far this year. Movies have been kind of like wavering a little bit. Summer looks good though. Summer looks promising, but I remember going into it. I told my dad, I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be, how can they make that entertaining? But I left it like, okay, this is going to be probably one of my top 10 films of the year, honestly.
Oh yeah, wow, okay.
Yeah. The performances are great. The directing is great. You feel like you're back in the 80s. It's really, really good, really good.
Wow,
which movie
makes me want to see it more now? Air.
Which movie?
What movie? The one you're Air.
Okay, I was just making sure we're talking about the same movie. I was like, all right, yeah. Okay.
Air. We got to go check that out.
Yeah, I mean, you check out anything about Jordan. I mean, I do, big Chicago fan.
Well, I'm not a fan of Jordan no more.
No,
I'm a fan.
Like a lot of people.
I'm a fan of his, the game
Billy.
or whatever. Yeah, I'm a fan of him playing the game, but I'm not a fan of the person that Jordan is. And unfortunately, found out that he was a jerk.
Who cares? Shit,
He's a
You
billionaire.
found out
Oh,
years
man,
later
yeah.
too, like, he's all old now. Now they're like, he's a jerk. He held, he was able to, be presentable, more than like most of these presidents and shit. We find out they're jerks immediately. Like, damn.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
Yeah, but I run in Nikes. I'm trying to get sponsored by them, especially like after watching that movie and shit. I was like, yeah, Nike. Send me some kicks.
Well, okay, so I'm trying to wrap my mind around 100 miles. Even in a car, 100 miles is a good drive, and that's a machine. So you're going over like nice even terrain. It's not like in the outback type shit, right?
No, it's like in the woods and gravel and
Oh yeah, so it changes, right?
maybe highway too. I had to sign this big huge waiver, like make sure you run with against the traffic. I was like, oh shit.
because
The
you're
waiver
doing
was-
that ultra run, right?
Yeah, long distance.
Yeah, that's yours is that heavy duty stuff.
Well, I think that they're two different beasts. Like what Ethan does and what I do are two separate beasts. That are still in the same family.
Yeah, because Ethan was in the comfort of Soldier Field. You was out there with mountain lions and bears and stuff. He told me a bear
like
can
most
hop out on
Americans,
him.
hey, like most Americans, how much is 10K in miles?
Just a little bit over 6, like 6.2, somewhere around there, I think, roughly. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I understand it a lot better.
Yeah. The metrics are. Yeah.
And like for me to do like 5 miles takes me like I could do that like about an hour. Like that's the speed I run at. And Ethan, he's doing like 15 in like less than an hour. So he's running at like 3 times what I would run at and stuff. But what's crazy is like I checked out like the elevation. I couldn't get a map for this shit. And one of the problems I had last time is my I use Strava. And in some of these rural areas in Missouri, like where I was at, I didn't have any reception. Like even my phone was dead. I couldn't make a phone call if I needed to. And so I didn't bring a map. And I didn't even count like how many aid stations there are. So like, let's say I'm at mile, I was in the 20s and stuff. And so I get to the aid station. I was like, oh, how many more miles do I got? And the lady says, or the man says, I can't even remember, but they were like 2 miles. So I boom, run. I'm thinking I'm finished with this run. And so then I get to the next aid station. And I was like, hey, how many more miles? I thought like maybe 2 more miles or something like that. And I even told the guy, I was like, 2 more miles? And he was like 7. And I looked at him like, you fucking with me? And he's like, but you're more than halfway there, for the 31 miles. And I was just like, and he looked at me like that was going to break me and shit. Cause, I don't really fit in with like the look of like ultra runners and shit, but I was like, all right. And, that was a learning experience because you do have to know your fucking distance, so you can measure out how fast you have to go or how, slow you have to go or you pace yourself properly. But, yeah, that was crazy. So next time I'm making sure I bring a map and, try to GPS it better, because this is 100 miles. I don't want to be like, how many more, And then for the 100 though, which I'm doing, the Bad Dog 100, it's 2,500 feet to 7,500 feet, like elevation, hills, 50 miles of that shit,
Wow.
So it's not going to be a fast. Yeah, it's not going to be a fast one and shit. And if you watch these documentaries, like a lot of times they're walking. Oh, but check this shit out. And this was very humbling too. Like there were a lot of old people. Like I came in like close to like, last 10 and shit, It took me 8 hours and 28 minutes to finish 31 miles. But there were a lot of old people who like smoked my ass, and a lot of like huge people. Like I'm like, oh, this motherfucker like running with no shirt on and shit. And he's just gone. And it's like, damn, So it was very humbling and stuff. you know, because I was like, okay, I'm in pretty good shape, you know, but you know, the elevation and stuff, everything gets to you, you know.
Yeah,
That's the
I noticed
challenge.
that too. The demographics were funny, especially at this last one, because I'm like keeping my pace. I'm looking at who's ahead of me, and I'm, you know, seeing, okay, if I keep up with them, I'm doing pretty good. And towards that last leg, that last mile, I look over and I was already getting kind of tired at that point. But my goal was just don't stop, right? Because if you stop, your body's going to kind of try to get acclimated pretty quickly, and then you're going to be out of your groove. But I look over and I pass up this older lady. I mean, and she that I had met at the very beginning, you know, at the starting line, and I said, okay, that's neat. And then I kept going, and then I look over and like blasting by me is like this father son combo where this kid's like 3 feet off the ground and he's just moving the whole way through, like not stop. I was like, geez, I'm like, man, it's insane when you really see it, because you're right. It's like you never know, because some of these people have been doing it forever, or you know, and they're just they're used to it. That's kind of how they keep active is through this stuff. And so it is interesting to see. It's like, damn, did I really lose this guy who's like retiring next week? I'm like, geez, it's tough.
Makes you think a little different about like the end of the world shit. It's like, damn, all these people who I thought I'd be able to outrun would outrun me. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
I have never tested myself in any kind of run of any kind. Now I've run for a long time to get someplace, but I know it wasn't much, you know. No, one thing I admire about runners, and I'm sure you're like that too, is the patience. I don't have the patience. You know what I'm saying? It's not that I can't do it. I would imagine if I practice, I'd get better at it. But I don't know if I've got the patience, because when I go there, I gotta come back. And going there, it's like a destination, maybe. But if I gotta come back, yeah, I'm less inclined. But I admire the running. It really takes a level of patience. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Well, John, we were just talking and stuff, and you were telling me about that fitness challenge that you did last month.
Yeah.
Tell him John's getting swole. Show him, John.
Yeah.
Show real.
Oh, you like you been in jail. Sit down, penitentiary. Sit down.
No, I just been doing push-ups. I mean, I heard the call. There was a 3,000 push-up for the month of May challenge. I said, let me give it a shot. You know, it's been a while since I've done anything. So I got down on the floor on the first day and I did 100, but it took me 5 sets of 20 to get to 100, you know? So fast forwarding, some days were real hard. You know, I didn't want to do it and couldn't do it. And I know I needed to give my body some rest. I wound up getting 960, you know, didn't get the 3,000, but 960 I thought was a pretty good start for a first time. So now for the month of June, I'm going to do a 2,000 push-up for the month of June challenge. And right now, I'm about 150, and I'm going to do probably maybe 150. I mean, I'm doing that 100. I can do 150 in 3 sets. Yeah, I'm confident I can do 150 in 3 sets. So I'm going to stick with that.
That's
Rio
good,
wants to
man.
sign up for that shit right now. He's like, "What'd you do?" He's like, he said, "I'm about to get it."
No, hey, you know, I'm with the.
Right.
Now, you know, I'm with the. You know, with the working out. You know, I'm with that.
Yeah,
all the way.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. You know, I'm getting. I see my chest getting a little, you know, more puffed out and spread it out.
Yeah.
So I'm
Hey,
trying.
you ain't gonna be talking to John crazy no more.
Where you live at?
Kevin told me where you live.
Kevin, you look a little there, bro. I thought you was working out.
Yeah,
boy, I'm
I
ripped.
told him that. Yeah.
I'm ripped,
Yeah.
G.
I think you're losing weight though. No, I know you're getting muscle too. But
You're looking like a runner.
First.
You're starting to look like a runner. Yeah.
Let's see the
There
ad.
it is.
Yeah. I'm with it. But I've been doing a lot of playing with my diet. You know, I play with my diet a lot.
No, I know. You still fasting too?
Well, in Chicago, when I went out there, I was eating a lot of cheeseburgers, a lot of fast food, drinking, you know, a lot of beer. So like that stuff, you know, Probably when you're about my age, that shit, like you eat a burger, you gonna see that shit. Like, damn, you
You
gonna
know, shit.
where's that pack at? 6-pack ain't there no more.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You're
that's
talking
yeah.
about burger, man. So Ethan,
Yeah.
so what's your prep before a run? Do you eat a particular kind of food?
No, actually, I'm the opposite. Whether I'm working out or if I'm going to the
Ethan, I
gym in
think
the morning.
Ethan, I think your mic I don't know, it just started chattering like
Sound like it was rubbing up against something.
like it was being dragged.
My bad. I know. Take more. But I don't think that should be that big of a problem. I don't know. Let me know. I'm like kind of getting some drops.
It's really staticky. Is it Bluetooth?
Yeah, I think
Getting worse.
It was clear as on the word earlier. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Okay, give me 1 second. Give me.
Yeah, like you could try to unplug it and plug it back in.
I think because he moved it, because when he
Yeah,
came
he
back
did
on the
something.
screen, he was
Yeah, 'cause
moving it. So I'm like, what is you over there doing, brother?
Well, he did like that where his screen went like that. He did something and then it was like, oh.
Yeah, he must have moved it or something. But and that's what knocked the sound over.
I don't know. Am I back? Is it okay?
No,
Yeah,
you good.
yeah.
You good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
The pressure
No, I
was
got
on
this-
for him. He was like,
No, I
no.
had my.
Oh, you
I
just
was
ruined my
prepping-
podcast.
No. I hope not. I was I was prepping with my laptop, but I think the combined heat of that screen being on with my phone being on, I got a little notification that was like, your phone's getting too hot. And I was like, oh, okay. I had to switch it up real quick. But oh yeah, you asked me about run preparation. Typically I've been like that forever. If I am doing like a basic workout at the gym, or if I'm doing a long run or a race, I just like to be up at least about an hour and a half beforehand, particularly for a run, an hour and a half, so I can get ready, have time to relax and kind of focus up. And I'll try to use the bathroom. So whatever that entails, whatever comes out, comes out. I'm just trying to clear my system so I'm good. And I will immediately just I try not to eat too much, because that I think negatively affects me if I'm trying to be active. I don't know. I just don't want to get any funny feelings in my stomach while I'm, trying to complete 6 miles, and by like mile 4.5, I'm like, my stomach starts, cramping on me or whatever because of a bowl of oatmeal or something. So I try to keep it pretty much uniform across the board. I've always just been consistently, I don't eat before I run. I try to get enough rest before a run. And then from there, it's just take the run, just focus. And with these ones in particular, where they are these higher intensity races, it is typically, I'm finding that what I really enjoy is prior to the race, assembling like a playlist that I can listen to while I'm actually on the run, and kind of like saying, okay, if I get to this song at the very end, that means I failed my time, because this playlist is an hour long. I want to finish the race by 55 minutes or whatever. Or if I want to finish in under 30 minutes, then I know if I get to this song, I failed. So that's been my prep really for that kind of stuff. Is that, and then of course the stretching and the basic kind of stuff of just getting your body ready and allocated to it. But that's mostly what it is. Yeah.
Hey, would you be open to mountain climbing?
Yeah, I mean,
I know that
it's
like hiking,
like mountain, like climbing a legit mountain, not that stuff in those little indoor places.
Are you talking about rock climbing, or are you talking about like hiking, like
Mountain climbing, sir. A mountain.
Well, that's hiking.
At the top, there's snow up there.
You
put
I
a
mean, there's
flag
different
up there.
ones.
Let them know you've been there. That type of cliff.
With the ropes.
What's that
and
movie?
everything,
Hang
right.
Cliff. Yeah, Hang Cliff.
Cliffhanger, right.
Yeah, cliffhanger.
Right.
Did I say
But
Hank
sly.
Cliff?
Yeah, Hank Cliff.
They're like, what movie is that?
Yeah, there's a word for that. There's like a name. It starts with like an A. It's like
Yeah,
ascension
mountain
or some
climbing.
shit. Like, but I actually read a book. Like, it sucks that I can't remember what it was called. Like what you call that specific thing. Like, it's not like mountain climbing and stuff. It's something else. But it's a book that, you know, just from like how you would basically ultra runners and stuff, mainly by like, and skiers buy this book because it talks about like how to go uphill, you know, and there were no books so much on like going up hills and stuff, you know. But anyways, yeah, it just reminded me.
Man, when I do uphill on the treadmill, dude, it's a bitch. I can't imagine in real life, man. I've driven them, and when I'm driving it, I realize, wow, this is a pretty steep incline. I wouldn't want to walk it. Oh, but maybe one day I will. Maybe one day I will. Maybe one day I'll try a mile. Never know. You know, a mile can save my life. Yeah, the master of the mile.
I did a lot of that in Cali because you know Cali and them were like hills and stuff like that. So
Sure.
I did a lot of that.
Yeah.
I've been in the mountains in the car though. Like, walking. Now I had to walk up certain things, but I ain't walk up no whole mountain thing with no by no foot because I'm pretty sure I would have been messed up.
Yeah.
The closest I ever got to doing that in any capacity was when it was the first time I traveled to California. Actually, it was right after. It was right after I had graduated high school. That was like my dad's gift to me, was this huge vacation out there for 2 weeks. And the first week we were in LA, and I remember one of the things that we said we would do was we said let's go to the top of the Hollywood sign, and we started off on such a bad foot because the way that area is positioned is like there's an area where you can park, where you start, and it's like a safe route that you take to go all the way up. But I remember my dad had parked at like the very, very base of the mountain, like beneath the planetarium and everything. So we were way down, and we took this like back alley route that had like snakes and mice everywhere. It was like, there's no railings, nothing.
Wow.
And finally, once we went around, we of course were like, man, okay, like that was kind of a lot. And then we got to the planetarium and we talked to one of the guards, and the guard was like, you know, my dad's like, yeah, like, you know, so what's the route to get up there? And the guy made a joke. He said, well, just tap your heels 3 times and you'll be up there. And it was like, he's like, you got a long way to get up there. And I was like, oh man, it was grueling, but it was grueling for my dad. I remember every time the way that the backside of that mountain is designed, there are these ridges that go in and out. So every time that you circle around one, you see another one. And every time you're on the next one, there's another one. And it's just constant. Wow. You're just going up and up. And I just remember reaching the top was a lot of fun. It was like, I mean, you see the whole city, whether you're looking at it from the sign head on, and you're looking at the downtown area and everywhere else. You're looking behind it. It's like I bet it's a super fun experience. And I'm like, man, that would be something that if I lived out there and I had, you know, the access to it, like at least once a month, because it's just the view is crazy, the time it takes, the work you're putting in to get up there, it's definitely worth it for sure.
The coyotes you got to beat off, like, get out of here, coyotes.
You got to throw meat around. 21%.
Now they do get them snakes in the mountains, because they was telling me in Cali, we would go to this place and there's all these rocks and it's just up, and they was like, if you go walking over there, because people do go over there hiking and stuff, and they was like, if you go walking up over there, you can very well run into a snake. And I said, ain't no way I'm finna go play with no snakes. I'm not doing it. But I have been in the mountains, like in the car going up there, and then, you know, I got out once I made it up there. But yeah, it's cool when you up there, you get houses and everything in the mountains. People live up there. And I'm like, I don't know about you. You can't get away if something happened. You in the mountains. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's fun. It's fun to be there once you get to the top. It's even fun too, I guess, if you was to walk it. But I never walked it. I always drove in a car. But yeah,
that's something. That is something I was thinking about too. Because on like 100 miles, you know, I got to run constantly like through the night, you know. And I was like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm in Missouri, you know, so I'm like, man, you know, I just got through watching like Cocaine Bear. So
Oh, did you see that, Kevin?
yeah.
Yeah.
That was crazy, right?
Yeah.
It
So
was.
I do know that there are bears out here and shit, you know, and there are mountain lions and you know, all types of shit, lynx. So uh, you know, and I've been reading a lot of like ultra running books and stuff, and they're like, yeah, like I've came across cougars like 3 times on these runs, you know, and shit like that. You know, you see their eyes and like the way they explain it and shit is like, man, that's a bit like it does. Like, do I need like bear spray? Like you know, like how do I bring a gun and shit? Like, you know, because they do have
I mean,
runners.
running in groups. You run in groups. I mean, I think what it is the running and your back turn and you're running. That triggers that predatory response. So I think if you're in a group, a large group, it'll leave you alone. But if you're by yourself and you're running and it's behind you, yeah, it could trigger predatory response, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's,
If you by yourself, we won't hear from you again. That's all.
well, last time I was running by myself, like in this ultra run, like, you know, you start out with everybody, but if you're slower or whatever, you know, you're going to be running by yourself, or if you're faster, you're going to be running by yourself. And if you got headphones on, you know, like in the daytime too, you know, it's not just like nighttime, but like, you know, some shit sees you running, they're like, is that a deer? You know,
I'm turning into Martin Luther King.
So
I'm holding
slow.
hands, saying, "We shall overcome." That's what I'm doing. I'm not running by myself.
Yeah, bear spray. Yeah, I don't
You was
know
by
if
yourself
it works.
at times, Kevin.
yeah,
You was out there naked by yourself. A bear can just get you.
a bear could have got me, you know.
Oh man, you crazy. That must have been that white in him tapped in, like, yeah, white now. Right here with the bears.
I'm like, there's no such thing as a bear. Yeah, it's fake. But yeah, but the waiver they made me sign and shit, they're like, no protection. We got no protection for you, you know, and shit like that. I was like, First time I was gonna register for that shit, it took me like a week to sign that waiver. I was like, hold on, maybe I should have my lawyers look at this shit, you know.
Yeah.
But they glitched up because it was like for a virtual, like a waiver. I'm like, I got your ass. Anything happens to me, you know. Oh yeah, hell yeah. So Ethan, you don't get no like leg pains at all, like even when you're running, like no, your knee doesn't get sore or...
No, I think I've been running since I was 13, 14. Always, I didn't start off on the treadmill. I started just hitting the pavement. So I got accustomed to broken roads and having to go on grass or having to switch around or tripping on a cut in the road.
Ethan is 20 something. He's in his 20s, man. His early 20s.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, that's youth. He's like, I'm like really young still.
Right. Man, like I can fly.
So I think naturally it's not gonna, it's just the repetition of the action helps, I think, soften the soreness that I would have otherwise. Like if I'm not actively doing it all the time, I think certain areas will make me sore. Like if I start working out my abdominals or my chest, then yeah, I'm going to feel that because I don't work that as much. But if I work my legs, I mean, that's nothing really. So, mostly I think when I am running, because of my form, what I have noticed sometimes is my arms will get a little strained. So with that constant forward motion going up and down, when I'm looking to like extend, I'll feel that pain in that joint. And I'm like, that's a little weird, because my arms sort of been used to the same motion for the past 30 minutes. So it kind of, that stuff springs up. But once I'm home, I mean, I think it's just mostly resting it and not, you just don't want to overwork it. I wouldn't have ran that 6K if I didn't think I could actually do it. I wouldn't have done it if I wasn't, I sort of knew, okay, breath control, don't stop. I know that they have all these stations for water and Gatorade or whatever, but just don't worry about it. Keep going because you don't want to distract yourself with anything else. And
Are you planning on are you planning on
Mhm.
running and like by the time you get a little older too, like in your 30s?
I think seeing how this particular activity makes me feel now, it's like something that I can't imagine not doing in the future. It's just fun. I think the atmosphere of just being around a bunch of people that are all there we're all there for different reasons. You got 700, 1,400 people all in one area, all in one space that are all looking to cross that start line and cross that finish line, all for a number of different reasons. No one's there for the same thing. So that will keep you going. Because I remember training in isolation over here around my neighborhood. I had gotten, I think it was like a day or two before the race. I said, okay, my regimen at this point has been, I'll do an outdoor run 2 days before. That way, the day before the race, I can just rest up and I don't have to worry about anything. And then my body can be like prepped. So the training I did days prior to the race, I got up to about 5 miles around there and I stopped. I was like, oh, and then I really felt the tiredness come out. And that got me a little nervous because I said, oh, I got about another mile and some change that I have to complete to get this thing done in a couple of days. But once you're kind of in that environment and you're surrounded by all those people and the path, the route, I think there's no feeling like it. So for sure, definitely, I want to keep racing, for as long as my legs will give me the opportunity.
That's good to hear. That means you're enjoying it, man. That's good.
Do you have any?
Let's talk about some of this writing though, because the man is writing as well.
Well, do you have any like runs coming up, like that you've been looking into?
Yeah.
And how do you feel about like? How do you feel also about like? Would you do like ultra runs yourself or? Because I think you could do it.
For your first question, I think I would like to do a race at this pace every month. I think would be great until it becomes something that I can do maybe bi-monthly or every week or something like that in the future when I feel more prepped for that. And I would, but at the moment, because as soon as I got home after my the SF10, I checked the same website I did to find my past 2 races, and I noticed a couple, but nothing that like screamed, nothing that like really stuck out to me that I was like, oh, I got to participate in that by way of the rewards at the end or just the distance, right? Because I'm mostly looking for every race, and I know it's not particularly possible, but I would like to keep going, like starting off at 5K, then bumping up to 10K. It's like, okay, how can we keep getting further in the distance? But at the moment, no new races on the horizon immediately. Also, because you got to pay for them. I don't right now. I'm trying to save up for a vacation at the end, at the end of the summer, and I can still pay for the races and still have more than enough. But it's just kind of like, I'll keep the change now. I got the experience, and I'm not going to stop running outside of it. So it's the races will come around, but I think definitely looking at it for the next year and like just wanting to. Already like meeting new people who are first timers or have been doing this for a long time has been fun to kind of get their perspective too. So races in the future, but in the immediate future, not right now. But to your second question, I love the stuff that you're up to, man. I think that's so cool. Like that to me is like the most. I've seen videos on that kind of stuff in the past, and it's like the most visceral form of exercise that you can have. I mean, you are beholden to the terrain, to the environment, to anything that can happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like if it rains, it's still going. You're still going, and it doesn't matter if I'm running by and it starts raining by the lake. Okay, the concrete gets wet. You run out there and you're knee deep in the wilderness with mud. It's like that's going to totally change the way that race goes.
Oh yeah.
But
in a nutshell.
That kind of stuff I would really like to do. I think it's because it feels like the test, I'm like the biggest test I think is really like a triathlon where you're doing everything all in one go. But to me, I think an ultra where it's like I'm not running an ultra to break a record or to set any kind of pace particularly. I'm doing that to complete that thing against all the obstacles that are going to be around me at that time. But I'd definitely be interested in that. I think once I can kind of match like my endurance and my speed where I feel confident and comfortable and like, okay, I can operate in that way, or I know that, okay, if it's 100 miles, which sounds absurd, so best of luck. I mean, that's tough because even having done 6, I was like, oof, okay. And I still feel like I could do more, but the idea of understanding how to pace yourself, I think is going to be the biggest thing for that. And that's where I think I need to train, because I started, just to kind of go back to my experience with the last one. I told you I got these new shoes and I'm like super excited to run in them. I was like, oh, okay, they feel good. As soon as I look down, right before they, the announcer goes, okay, 30 seconds for group I. And that was my tag. And I'm like, okay, all right, cool. I'm getting ready. I look down. I hadn't looked down at my feet almost the entire time. The first time I do, I see, uh-oh, my left shoe, the laces are kind of loose. I'm like, okay, maybe that won't affect me as much. as soon as the horn goes off and I get to running and I round that bend and I get over like the shock and awe of like running through Soldier Field, I look and I'm like, oh, great. I'm like, they're just flailing in the wind. I go maybe another like quarter mile or so. And then my right shoe gives in. And I'm like, oh God. So I literally, now I'm forced. I have to stop and I have to time all over, I have to do that all over again. And it's like, that was one of those things where after that happened, I saw the people that passed me up and I said, okay, I'm getting my spot back. Like I'm getting ahead of you. Like, I don't care whatever happens, I'm getting past you. And I worked my way to do that. But I think once I got to that point, that leg of the race early on, I was like giving it everything. When if I paced myself a little better, I probably would have finished the race at a higher placement with a better time had I just paced it out. And I think that's the biggest thing that you need for an ultra marathon, is just making sure that you're not gassing yourself out in the first, hour, 2 hours of this thing, and you have what it takes to go all the way. Because I think going back to what you said earlier, it's true. Anyone can do it. You just have to have the will and the determination and the focus to get it done. It's like, you can't, it doesn't really matter if you're, if whatever your limits are, your physical.
With a little training too.
Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Hey, do we have pictures, Kevin, of Ethan finishing the race, parts of the race? Do we have pictures of that?
I mean, I'll show pictures of him doing it,
Oh, you're gonna put.
But I can't show you right now because
Oh, okay. But you're gonna add them to the YouTube thing. Oh, that's cool. That's great. Because when you're talking about that, we need to show pictures of that, to make it all professional and everything. Yeah, that'll be nice.
Yeah, they're all up on my socials. They're easy to find.
Yeah, because I seen pictures of it, man. At first, I didn't know what y'all was talking about. Everybody was congratulating Ethan, and I'm like, what'd he do? And because I wasn't going to the chat all the way. I saw that, and so then I actually was like, let me scroll over and up there and look at what. And then I seen it. I'm like, oh, he running. And then because I know Kevin said he was running too, and I was like, so they both running. They runners now. It was cool. So it was nice, man. I saw that. The pictures make it look real. What's the word I'm trying to?
Hey, the hate almost slipped out right there. He's like, oh, they're runners. They're both runners.
You see how Kevin? You see how
he was
Kevin?
Like, that's cool. That's cool. That's fine.
You see how this guy mind worked. No, I like it though, because when Kevin told me he was doing it, because I never thought about it like that. I always thought about like, you see people running, right? I always, from my point of view, it always just been white people running. So I was like, okay, that's some white stuff. And then when Kevin told me he was doing it, I was like, okay. And then I found out Ethan was doing it too, and I was like, oh, now you're thinking about what it consists of. And I said, I guess it is kind of hard to do. It's something. And so I was like, because I was like, what is the purpose of doing it? And so now hearing what y'all saying, now I see the purpose of it. The purpose of it is like, is a goal you set. You're doing something. You know what I'm saying? You're pushing yourself to do something, and something that a lot of people, can't do. I mean, they could, but can't, or not doing, or because you gotta do stuff to be able to go far into that. If you're gonna do it and do it right. And so, yeah, I see that now.
And like another thing I'd like have to mention is like what even got me into like wanting to even do like ultra running would be a book. Well, I don't know who's heard of David Goggins before, but he has a book called Can't Hurt Me. And it was back when I was working at Amazon and I listened to audiobooks all day. So I was like, let's see this stuff. And basically his message is like you can do, you could do whatever the fuck you put your mind to, and if he didn't, do what he did, then he would be like a 300 some pound fucking roach exterminator, but he changed his life and, became like one of the best like ultra runners in my opinion, with the mind and shit,
That's good. That's good.
I got intense with that. It's like, oh, calm down, Kevin.
Now about this writing business though, Ethan.
Sure.
I know you're writing like scripts and stuff. So are you also gonna combine this writing with the running? Like, are you gonna write a book on your running experience and things like that?
I think those two things are not my love for fitness and just being active and my script work are kind of, they cross
Separate.
over a lot. No,
Right. Oh.
they actually do cross over a lot. Not by the way of like autobiographical or something like that, or
Right.
sharing lived experiences, but majority of the characters that I write, at least in one instance, you're going to see them working out or running or something like that because it's just sort of instinctual to me. That's kind of
Okay. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's never, you kind of place yourself in the shoes of the character that you're writing, no matter how sinister their actions may be. I think you kind of you have to sit with those people, with the people that you're writing, and more often than not, a lot of my protagonists will always, if there's room in the script for it, I like to have them partaking in physical activities, only because in every character that you write, there's sort of a piece of them is a piece of you is in them almost all the time. So naturally, it's only bound to happen, right? It's like those characters are kind of going to be at least physically fit by that way of constantly being active and stuff like that. And that's certainly how it goes. But I don't think I'd sit there and write the script about actually running or sort of like the build up to running a race or something like that, just because I think I'd have to be really, really inspired by something in particular to be able to sit down and hone a story around that concept.
Okay. Well, another question I got for you is, when are we gonna be able to enjoy some of this grade A writing of yours? That's like, when are we gonna be able to enjoy this stuff? Like, when are you trying to get this stuff put out to the world?
So let me start by saying, writing is not easy. It takes a long time. It is a hard craft. I'll never forget when one of my professors told me, I had mentioned something about like my English class, and he went, "What's the point in that? Everyone knows how to speak English. Everyone knows how to read and write." It's like, of course, the math teacher would say that about, have that perspective, but it is infinitely difficult. And I think right now at this stage, like currently, I'm finding it a bit harder than normal. Sometimes, writing block is totally, I think, real in some capacity. I think if you don't sit down and if you're not constantly thinking about it, you're kind of racing about all these other aspects going on that the writing can kind of get lost. But it takes a long time. And a lot of the stuff, what I found is that I've been writing a lot of television. So I think that, to me, as much as I love film and the idea of like telling a story within 2.5 hours of just like condensed greatness, I think that's amazing. But episodic television to me is what I like a little bit more, I think, just a tad bit, because you can just tell such a deeper story with more pieces going around. But so with that kind of stuff, I think I've seen that I've written more of that, which I can't really make at this stage because these budgets are going to be really high. This stuff I don't want to just sell to it. I don't want to just sell it to the highest bidder. Like, I want to have creative control. I want to be able to write everything, direct everything, like produce it all. Like, I want to be a part of that. But I've been working on I have a couple projects on the side, 2 sort of independent films whose scripts I've been curating for a pretty long time. I'll tell you guys the name. I haven't told anyone the name of this particular one, but
hold on, don't say it unless it's copyrighted.
Well, it's a word. You can't just copyright a word, but it's called Smear. It is this psychological thriller. It's a lot of fun. It takes some inspiration from some of my favorite films for sure, but it's very much like a modern age kind of invasion of privacy, right? Sort of 1,000 eyes watching you, even when you think everyone's asleep or something. So it is a lot of fun, but that one is like one of those things that I'm writing with this idea in mind that it could actually be shot and actually be made and actually come to fruition. And then there's a second one that I'm working on now that I think is it's more thematically driven, more emotionally involved. And I think that's becoming a little taxing for me, at least, because you kind of got to dig back in the past and you got to find things and unpack a lot in terms of the content that you want to write about. But that script I am eyeballing at least to be done by the end of the summer, have at least the first draft done that I can go in and do redrafts on and have editors look at it, peers review it, things like that, and have that be ready basically to be sold and shot and made and everything like that, because I got a lot of faith in that one. I obviously I'm biased because it's my work, but what I'm writing right now, like I've never seen someone conceptually come up with that idea before. So I'm super proud of it. So it just takes a long time.
Yeah. Good.
Hey, that's good, man. I love it. I'm looking forward to, me, when I know that, you got something like that brewing, I just want to see it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I take your time, do it how you gonna do it. I just can't wait till I can sit back and either like touch, hit my remote and be like, this is my little cousin's stuff right here, and enjoy it. Because I like, I'm doing a little writing myself. So, I can't wait. And I know what you mean. I'm not rushing that. People always tell me like, when that's going to be finished. I'm like, look, that's going to be a TV series, right? So it's a lot of writing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One season is a lot of writing. And so I'm like, I want to at least, write it till it makes sense and, and everything like that. So yeah, I'm not forcing that neither. And plus I don't work on it constantly because you do get writer's block. And if I don't feel like messing with it, I don't want to mess with it because I mess it up. You know what I mean? So when I don't have nothing I feel is gold, I don't go to writing it down. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, Ethan, tell the people where they could find you.
Me?
Yeah.
Jeez.
In my skin.
I'm pretty radio silent on most social media platforms. I mean, I think if you look up Ethan Westerfield, there's like 3 of us that exist in the world, probably more, but there's a couple of us. I think Twitter, but I'll save the Twitter because that's that one's mine. That one's I don't know, but I'm on Instagram. I'm using that a little bit more. Trying to kind of get more involved on that particular platform. So all of them, I'm pretty sure we can link stuff or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm not that hard to find.
All right.
We're trying to get him one of those blue checks.
We can pay for them now, you know, so it doesn't even matter. So
I know if
Yeah.
you pay for them, they don't respect you when you do that.
No, absolutely, yeah.
We're trying to get it off the tap.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate this so much, Ethan. You
Of
know,
course.
big fan podcast team. You know,
Big
gotta
fan?
make this.
Big fan?
Right,
Yep.
right.
It's been my pleasure. Enjoy you guys' night.
Anytime.
All right, have a good night, brother.
All right, good night.
All right.